everybody.
What? I'm saying you said hello. I said hello. We can both say hello. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
So, we are going to be interviewing Danny Miller.
So Danny is our sixth and final guest on the podcast for this season. Now, he has got many a side hustle.
He's got so many side hustles.
He's got so many side hustles, but we've kind of nailed it onto two that we're going to talk about. His amazing charity work and Albert's Bookshelf, which is a podcast that he's just released where he reads books. Reads children's
but we're also
books.
talking about his writing as well, because he's written a children's book that is out now and available to purchase.
So let's talk to Danny Miller.
Because that's never happened to us, has it?
Still to this day was the hardest night's sleep I've ever had.
You pack your bags, love.
Yeah.
Go and get that money.
Ever. If it carries on like this will be the last one ever.
Danny, welcome to a Celebrity Side Hustle. Thank you for coming. We've eventually got you on.
I know.
Third time lucky.
We had a stand-in. We
can't talk about the fact that Lou was a stand-in. She's annoyed about that enough as it is.
Not annoyed.
It's showbiz, that.
That is showbiz,
It's
to be
showbiz.
fair.
She was a very good stand-in. She's a famous comedian.
Yeah, she was great,
She's
actually.
super hot
But
and
it's
super funny.
really, really nice to have you on.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
You are
It's
number
nice to come
6
to-
in save the best till last, basically.
Absolutely,
Number 6
yes.
in our end of.
You
What am I
can't
saying?
speak. I don't know.
Let's cut round this.
This is our last episode, is what you're trying to say.
Ever. If it carries on like this will be the last one ever.
Oh, I don't
Absolutely.
like it. Okay.
So, Danny, what we've been doing, the concept of the show is Celebrity Side Hustles,
Nice.
as you know.
It's in the title.
It's in the
It's amazing the
title.
way you've done it.
Thank you.
And so what we've been doing is kind of starting back at the beginning.
Right.
How did you get into acting? How did you get into Emmerdale? Because you were kind of a child star, if you don't mind me saying.
Star.
You were quite young when you started.
Yeah, I was. I'm just one of those stories of fell into it, which is a very boring story, really. It was from school, and I kind of enjoyed it doing GCSE drama. And then we had a substitute teacher, our drama teacher. I had to take some time off for whatever reason, and we had this supply teacher come in called Nick, well, Mr. Hannon, but I've kind of know him personally now. He was on Coronation Street at the time, so it was kind of like a part-time job. And he said to me to wait behind after class, which was a normal thing for me growing up. So I thought, what have I done now? And he said, have you ever thought about this as a career? And obviously I was blind to the whole thing anyway, so I just thought I didn't know you could make money out of it. And he sort of said, I've got these open auditions for the agency that I work with in Liverpool, blah, 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 blah. So I'd like you to go down and audition. So I did. And within a week I got an audition for Grange Hill.
Wow. No.
So at the time we were kind of doing work experience through year 10 sort of thing, as most kids do. Excuse me. So then we kind of used that way of, I got the part, obviously, skip the boring bits. I got the part, and then managed to use it as my work experience.
Oh, amazing.
Which was amazing, because then it was Chris Perry Metcalf who played like the main character at the time, and he said, oh, you don't need any qualifications to get into this business. I went, whoa, that was music to my ears, but also a nightmare, because I spent the last year of year 11 in high school just pissing around.
Really? Just because you thought, well, I
know what I want to do,
I know
what I want to, and I thought, Grange Hill will have me back series after series. They sacked me the year later, so then I started panicking. I mean, I was going for auditions for Starburst adverts and feeling like I was being wound up and stuff, and then I'd done countless auditions before Emmerdale turned up. Okay. And I was only talking about it the other day, actually, because I went on my first lads' holiday at 17, 18, for those watching, to Faliraki. We were waiting for a friend of ours who was always late, and the phone rang on the Friday, and we'd all had a couple of beers at my house waiting to go. So he answered the phone. It was the flip phone days with no one if it was, and I went, where are you? Oh, hi, Danny, it's Sam from Lane Management. I went, oh, are you? And I'd done the audition on the Tuesday. She said, Emmerdale, like, see you again on Monday. I went, I'm just going away on a lad's holiday. So I thought at the time it was 6-episode contract, but what I'd missed was it's a 6-month contract. But I'd kind of said, I'm not that bothered anymore. I'm going. Then weirdly, one of my best friends, Aaron, was having a drink with me in Faliraki and said, you need to get a flight back.
Oh, amazing. I'm so glad that you did. What a good friend.
Well, I didn't have any money at the time either, so he said, I'll pay for your flight back.
Oh, wow. Stop it. I love Aaron.
I love Aaron, especially this Aaron.
And obviously the character wasn't named after your friend.
No,
you didn't have a say.
No, well, he was a recast. He'd already been in the show, and I think they put it out because they knew it was going to be sort of a bigger part. And this younger lad who played him years before either wasn't interested or he was doing some other kind of career. So lucky for me, I got the role. And,
so you flew back. So you flew to Faliraki.
Yeah, on the
Spent
Friday.
How long there?
So I had the Friday day and night, Saturday day and night. They made the decision on Saturday night that we were going to book a flight on the Sunday. But of course, these were the days. It sounds like 30 years ago, but these are the days where you couldn't just book it on your phone. So we had to go and find a travel agent in the middle of.
Oh my gosh, how quickly things changed! Isn't it weird thinking about that?
It's ridiculous how quick it's just changed, and it would have been so much easier to go. Yeah, you're right. Skyscanner or whatever. No. So my mate took me to a local travel agent and booked the flight with me. So
that is amazing. What an amazing story. So you flew back.
Yeah.
And did you start filming? Was it to
no?
Start
So
filming,
it was So this was only the recall.
That was for an audition.
Yeah. So I'd done the first audition. They liked me, and then Faced Irene, who constantly jokes, obviously you two will know, constantly jokes that she made my career, said that, they were all certain on the day of my recall they wanted me. So it turned out to be a really good decision to come back. Amazing. But I was going into all these auditions constantly, like, really wanting the job. And then I think I wasn't that bothered, which sounds ridiculous because Emmerdale was still is a massive show. So to start your career on is amazing. But
I can relate to that. I always say that. I think that's so true, that when you go into an audition and there isn't that part of you that's desperate for it, that's kind of clinging to it, when you're not actually that bothered, you really shine through. Creatively, you're free because you're not thinking about what is it that they want. You're not thinking about how it could change your life. You're in the moment and you're just doing your thing. And I think they're the jobs you always end up getting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what happened for me with Emmerdale, because I was doing 2 plays at the time. I just finished at the National. So I was up my own arse a little bit because I was like, I've just finished this and I'm busy doing this. And I'll go and do this audition, whatever. And I went in there feeling quite confident. Yeah. Instead of going into it like I went into most auditions, just feeling like, oh my gosh, please get this so I can eat food next week and pay the bills, And that, I think that's why I got it. But anyway, that's amazing. I love that you got that. And then how long, go on, you've got a question.
I was going to ask...
You're very front-footed in this.
I quite like it.
You're really
it's intimidating.
I kind of have to be, Danny.
Yeah. Well,
because when I try and speak, this always happens. Watch this. Hi, Danny.
Anyway, what I really want to talk about is the charity. Because obviously you were at Emmerdale and you did become a bit of an overnight sensation. Did you do a calendar or two? I feel like you might have done a calendar, Danny. Did you do a calendar?
I might have had my top off at some point.
Can we just rewind a little bit?
Go on then.
Because when your character really took off, I think, personally, is when he came out as gay.
For sure.
And it was then that I think that you kind of, the character, and you went kind of stratospheric. Is that the right word?
Don't know, but I'll have it. Yeah, he went stratospheric.
But he
went mad.
He
was the biggest thing. I mean, he was Emmerdale at one point, wasn't he? Topless on his posters.
I know.
Yeah, so how did that feel?
Serious question. He's asking a serious question. How did that feel? Because that's never happened to us, has it?
It'll come.
So what was it like?
No, do you know what? It was Gavin Blythe, God rest his soul, who was such a close friend of mine which was weird because he was my boss, but he kind of took on this sort of fatherly type figure. And his wife, Susie, she was also kind of very hands-on with the cast, and she was almost like sort of like a mum at points to the cast, I think it's fair to say. And it was him who said it. Gavin basically rung me personally and said, I need to have a conversation with you. Can you wait behind after filming? So obviously for any actor who was loving the job, and still is loving the job, by the way, but it was, for me, it was like, oh no, what have I done? And I remember having a conversation with Mark Charnock, who plays Marlon Dingle, and he basically said, oh, I bet wouldn't it be funny if they returned, kind of like basically saying, because the character was such an angry teen and a bad boy, that it was such a curveball that he said it almost in sort of like, but like not, those, bearing in mind at them times as well, it still wasn't fully accepted in the society. Sure. A lot of people were judged for it. They weren't allowed to be free, and certain jobs wouldn't allow you to, football, for example, wouldn't allow you to sort of be out and open. So Gavin had pitched it as that, saying, we think he's, because of his nervousness with the girls and lack of, sort of a sex life with girls, we think it's because he's battling with his sexuality. I don't want you to answer it now. I want you to go away and have a think about it. but we think this will make your career and Emmerdale go off and the two will coincide together, sort of thing. So for anybody at that age to have that responsibility on the shoulders was
And telling
like...
such an important story.
How old were you then when
So I was
that was
just
pitched
about to turn 18.
So you'd only been there a year?
Yeah. Yeah, I think just about to turn 18 or 19, but it was near enough my birthday because we were ready to break for Christmas. My birthday's January, so I kind of had a really sort of tense Christmas thinking, I hope I don't mess it up. What if it goes wrong? What if people don't receive it? What if it's the end of the character? There was loads of things going through my mind, but Gavin was there solely for me at any point, you know, to talk me through it and help me through it and stuff. And I could always just ring him and said, I'm not really sure how I should play this scene. And he'd ring me and say, well, why don't you do it? Like, it was just amazing. And then we lost him really quickly, which just broke my heart because he was the kind of...
So for people that are listening that don't know, do you want to? Can you talk about?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Happened?
Gavin. So Gavin was the producer, and he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer, and he was diagnosed with it. And 4 weeks later, we lost him. It was so quick that it was such a whirlwind for me, which is where the charity came about for me. Actually, Once Upon a Smile was created off the back of Gavin, because Gavin had obviously had sort of different relationships and marriages and stuff. So the families at the funeral or the crematorium, they were kind of split, and you were having to offer your condolences to either side of the family. And I just thought at that time it should be, we're all here together, but it's not that easy when there's history and stuff. So I wanted to create something that brought the family back together. But yeah, losing him that quick was like, you know, there was selfish thoughts in there. What happens to me now? You know, like, and who do I talk to when I need to? Like, there was loads of things like that, and it was absolutely heartbreaking.
So just to be clear about the charity that you set up, because that's a big thing now.
And the charity is called Once Upon a Smile.
Yes, yeah, and we support families that have suffered with bereavement from parents. It's a children's charity predominantly now, and we support them, you know, emotionally and physically. And we've got our own dedicated bereavement centre in Manchester, which is a huge asset of our charity now. That it's the only charity within the UK, pretty much, that do what we do, and we offer tailored support for children that have lost mum and dad or brother or sister, grandma or granddad, and we bring them in and sort of allow them to have time and space with other like-minded children that have had similar experiences, and they find ways of talking it through baking and arts and crafts and circle time. And Ted, you know, there's loads of things that we do, and Kelly, who heads that up, has just made the charity like what it is today.
And did you set that charity up on your own?
No, I set it up with my best mate Dan, but
how did Dan come up with that idea? Because
we were playing charity football for a good year before Gav died, and Dan had a team of various different sort of celebs, if you like, from other shows and other reality shows, soaps and stuff, that would all come together in one area, play a charity football match, raise some money, give all the money to that charity, and we wouldn't take a penny. But a lot of the time we weren't really getting any feedback from it. We weren't really getting... It's not like we were doing it because we wanted a thanks, but it felt like we didn't know where this money was going, and we said we should really be in more control of it. Fast forward 12 months later, Gav passed away, and I said this is the perfect opportunity to try and do something that means we're in control of it. But obviously I didn't have kids at the time, but Dan had a young girl, and it meant something to us. So we said, let's try and create something that will last for years, that will allow us to sort of support as many kids and families as we can. And we're 14 years later, we're still here.
How many years later?
14 years.
14 years?
So, 13 years, so 2011.
And how much raised in 14 years?
I mean, it's over millions. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Because obviously we've got our own bereavement centre now, which is an asset of the charity, but costs.
And is that all funded by the charity?
Yeah, we don't receive any government funding. We're fully self-funded, and that requires a lot of fundraising, a lot of events and stuff that can pay for, you know, wages for the staff, overheads for the bereavement centre.
And so how do you manage that? Like, whose responsibility is that to continuously arrange these events?
Yeah, so we have a team of fundraisers now. Dan heads up the charity, and we have Kelly, who heads up the bereavement sector. And then we have various different staff members that sort of help Kelly, help Dan. We've got Charlotte now, who's a fundraising manager for us. So she comes up with the events and deals with people that want to do 10Ks, marathons, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, very lucky.
And you're still very hands-on with, like, you organise a ball every year for Once Upon a Smile. I've been to several of them, and they're always amazing. You've always got the most amazing, like, acts on and singers. How do you go about... When I've sat there at your events, I can't get my head around how long it must take you to organise that. It must take you all year to organise it.
It does, yeah. And I think that's the thing is that's why we've got a team there now, a dedicated team that help us do it.
Yeah.
So it takes a long time. It's kind of like organising a wedding, but you don't enjoy it as much. But it's fun to do.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's amazing, and congratulations.
Thank
I mean,
you.
Yeah,
it's
amazing.
such an amazing charity. And what we're going to do on the podcast, people can hit the links for all your charity
we'll put
pages
those in.
and everything.
Amazing.
So we'll put all them links up for everyone to be able to access that. So let's move forward.
Oh, can I get a word in edgeways today? It's like it's your best mate and all you want
trying,
to do.
I'm
It's
trying
like,
not to breathe
honestly.
so she can't get in there. You know
Don't
what I mean?
jump in
Gosh,
colours.
Give her
I
a
know
name.
what you're going to ask next. You're going to say what happened when you left Emmerdale, aren't you? That's where you're going next.
Let's go with that one.
Let's
then.
go with that one then. So, so you left. You did some exciting stuff. Talk to us about that.
Sweating me head off, sorry. I get a bit like that when I've talked about Gavin. For some reason, something comes over me. I get a bit like anxious.
No, I'm not surprised. It's a lot.
Yeah. So when I left, when I left Emmerdale, I did it as a bit of a gap year, really, because I wanted to sort of spend time. We fell pregnant with Albert. I wanted to have some time with.
I didn't know that was the time of that.
Yeah. It all snowballed really because I decided we weren't supposed to have, or naturally weren't going to have kids. We were told we probably won't. We'd have to go through IVF and stuff, and it all happened really naturally. And I just wanted to have some time at home. Obviously, you guys know what it's like. And I did. I handed in my notice and said I wanted a gap year, and then I'm a Celeb came in and said would be interested in having you on the show. I did win it, yes.
Did you?
I did, yes.
Oh, sorry, I don't watch it.
Sound like an Emmerdale fan. But it was just, it all kind of just happened, which was amazing. But then obviously once we found out naturally we were going to have Albert, we decided, should I do it? Because it was going to be in Australia. And then they rang and said it's not going to be in Australia anymore. It's going to be in Wales again. Mm-hmm. They did the first series in Wales.
Cold?
Freezing. Yeah, right, freezing. That was the worst bit of it, really.
Awful.
So yeah, I just kind of did it, and yeah, it was amazing because the opportunities that came after it were amazing, and yeah, it all kind of just fell into place, and then I had loads of time off then because obviously I had a bit of a bank and a bit of a fund to be able to support the family. Yeah.
What was the best and worst thing about I'm a Celeb?
Well, I mean, the worst thing easily was that obviously when I left Emmerdale, I was just doing it to have a year off, and then kind of everything snowballed, and then I was asked, do you want to come and do I'm a Celeb? And my agent had pretty much said they won't ask again because they've asked a few times, and I'd said no, and I don't want to be an actor, no, all that. And then I eventually said yes, and then we found out we were pregnant, so I'd kind of thought, well, this isn't going to work. And then Steph was like, it's going to work.
You pack your bags, love, go and get that money.
But the terrifying thing was that they said it was back in Australia. It was going to be a big sort of relaunch of the show because of COVID, and they'd done one in Wales, and they were excited to go back to Australia, and then Australia shut the borders again and said no. So then they said, you're going to be in Wales. So I was secretly going, oh, well, that's not the same thing if you come in and offer a bit more money, maybe. No, anyway, but it was just purely based on the fact that I'd be an hour away should anything go wrong with Albert and stuff. So, yeah, he was 3 weeks old. So I went in there. And
that must have been so difficult.
Do you know what the worst thing was? We were it was amazing because we had over 2.5 weeks just us in a house. So we had to create our own COVID bubble. So it was me, Steph, Albert and the dogs in Wales with not having to leave the house. Everything was delivered to your door. It was amazing. The worst thing was on the same day that they had to leave, you got all your communications taken off you. And it was still to this day was the hardest night's sleep I've ever had. I think I must have watched about 25 episodes of Friends, just to try and calm me down. And Schitt's Creek, I was just obsessed with that because that kept me laughing and stuff. And then before I knew it, the sun was up and I was like, oh God, I need to get some sleep. But that was the worst bit for sure because I didn't know how they were. And even when you went to speak to the producers off camera, they always say, we might use some of the stuff, so be careful what you say. Yeah. And I was always like, can you just tell me how the wife and kids are? They're like, no news is good news. We can't give you anything else other than that. So I was like, oh.
What?
I knew what I was letting myself in for.
Of course,
it's just when you're actually there in the moment, it was like, oh, this is terrifying.
And it's 6 weeks long, is that right?
No, it's 3 weeks long, but then we were evacuated a week into it because the storms ruined half the castle. And it wasn't safe, so then we had to go out for 2 days, and we were told it's pretty much over, and we were like, well, what a waste of time this was, and, you know, are we going to get our money? There was loads of things to it, and we still couldn't speak to our loved ones in case we were going back in, because they might go, such and such, this paper said this, and they don't want to influence the show. So, yeah, that was horrendous.
It's really difficult to be yourself as well when you're feeling like that in your own head, isn't it? Which, I mean, you did fantastically, which is why you won it, because you were yourself, you came over brilliantly.
Yeah.
But it must have been so difficult to kind of act normal when that's all going on in your head.
Well, that brings me on to the best bit was meeting David Ginola, because for me he was like, he's a footballer, Roxy.
Thanks, yeah.
That's all right. I could see you going, not a clue.
No.
But he was like, him and Beckham were like my heroes growing up. So
that was Beckham in there as well. No, it wasn't.
No, but he was like, Beckham was like the kind of, I don't know, like the pin-up guy for Armani type thing, and Ginola was this Gillette, you know, the best a man can get type thing. He was just this guy. So even that, like, you know, I loved him for that, and I didn't have a beard, so like, made no sense. But it was just like, I eventually ended. He became camp leader, I became deputy camp leader, so I suddenly found myself sharing a king-size bed with David Ginola, which was just, I remember going to sleep and everyone saying to me, who was it? I think it was Arlene, bless her. She was obviously a lot older than most, so she felt kind of that rift, I guess, between us. But she said, "Oh, David's snoring." I went, "Oh no, isn't it great?" And she was like, "No, it's keeping us up." And I went, "Oh, yeah, no." But everything that he did was just, and then he woke up in the morning, he'd wake up, he'd go, "Hello, Danny." He was French.
Yeah.
Hello, Danny. No.
He
went, hello, Danny. And anyway, he got talking to me, and I remember crying. I remember just having 5 minutes on my own on the bed, and he caught me. And when there's little things like, I never watched it back, but I saw some of the clips that were sent, and it looks like it's almost set up. It was that perfect, because everyone else was in the camp bit, and he'd gone for a shower and came back. And he just caught me, and he just talked to me, just like, and I remember going, he's actually advising me like how to go, and he wasn't rude. He just talked, and I just listened, and then I just said thank you, and we just hit it off straight away. And the friendship is still there with me and David. So
I was going to say, do you still see him now?
Yeah, I mean, he lives in south of France, and he's a footballer that's all over the place doing punditry and stuff. So I've not seen him for ages and ages, but you know, I still text every now and again and stuff. So, but yeah, he absolutely got me through it. Really did. And he became like a sort of father figure in there.
I love that. I love hearing about that, like, because you don't often hear that, and boys are so...
Yeah, the unlikeliness of it.
Lack, you know, that kind of romance. Whereas I think female friendships have that kind of like romance. So it's nice to hear about, you know, that kind of you being vulnerable and him giving you that support and still being a friendship. Now, it's so sweet. I love that heartwarming story, Danny. Yes, I'm really enjoying this interview.
So, King of the Jungle.
Yeah.
And then what? So how long was it after you won that until you got back into Emmerdale?
I think it would have been, it was probably about 18 months.
Okay.
I kind of rode the wave a little bit of it, and also because I was so adamant I wanted time off, I kind of probably stupidly turned down more offers than I should have done, to a point where my agent at the time even said, what is it you want to do? Because I'm coming to with these opportunities, and you're saying no and this and that. And it's hard because I didn't really know myself, but obviously we all went back into lockdown when we came back out as well. So loads of the agreements we had just went bust. There was sort of, you know, game shows that they'd asked me to screen test for, to host, and there was, you know, like become this sort of presenter type thing. And I'd sort of told my agent I'd love a Bradley Walsh type career. That's, you know, wouldn't we all, obviously. Pardon?
Yeah.
Really? Bradley Walsh, The Chase?
Bradley Walsh.
What do you do?
Him?
No.
Hey?
Why would you know? You should know of him. I can't imagine you know him.
He's a host.
He's a host.
Oh, yeah. He did Dancing on Ice, didn't he, with Holly this year?
No, that's Stephen Muller.
Right.
I'll just leave it.
He's nice. Steve's nice,
my
though.
goodness.
Yeah, but
Steve's
Stephen
nice.
might be nice, but it's not who we're talking about.
Okay.
Anyway. He was. I wanted that career. Basically, Rox. He presents, he acts, and he does sort of documentaries with his son as well. So it's amazing.
He's having a nice time, isn't he? What's his name?
Bradley Walsh.
Bradley.
Yeah.
I thought he was in Emmerdale.
One
Isn't
ITV?
Bradley in Emmerdale?
There is a Bradley in it.
There's Bradleys everywhere.
Yeah. It's I mean,
There's Bradleys absolutely everywhere.
Bradley's everywhere you look.
But just not Bradley Walsh.
Right.
Anyway.
So you wanted to do that, but COVID,
Yeah.
other things, and then Emmerdale came back to you and
Well,
wanted you back.
later on, and I just sort of said to Steph, then in the meantime, we'd had another baby, but by which point they'd already rang Emmerdale and said, we've got this storyline and we'd love you to come back. And I kind of went back for a little short stint for the 50th because they were to kill off my little sister in it and they wanted me to be a part of that. So I was happy to go and do that. So I kind of came in and then left again sort of thing. And I think it was a bit of that actually that I did it and kind of went, oh man, I do miss it because everyone's so nice there, and everyone's like, oh, nice to see you back, and it makes you feel good when you're there. Yeah. So then when they said, do you want to come back on a long term basis? I said to Steph, I think I do. Like I think all this sort of waiting to see what happens. I know my job there. People know me. I know the character. It's hard work, but easy.
You can do other things, which you have been doing, obviously, with the book.
Yeah, Albert's bookshelf.
Yeah,
Albert's
do you like the way I segued
I could
into
see
that?
it.
The book, and I like how you
I was
went,
just thinking when you said it as well, I thought this is a really good link and she's going to forget the name of the book.
I did.
Yeah, it's
yes,
Albert's
I did.
books. Albert's my son.
Albert's your son.
Correct.
And it's Albert's bookshelf. I get it. Nice. Good. Well done with it. So it's you.
How do you do this?
Reading.
not doing it again.
Yes, no.
Books.
I'll do it next time. Get rid of it.
Don't say you probably make more money. So actually, we haven't made any money.
I was going to say, where's mine?
We've got none. We're
Just
all,
cost me for
we're all
parking.
doing it for love. No, there is free parking, and you got that water.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. You were reading books for Albert.
Yeah,
and you
so
thought,
again, it was a thing that I was going back to Emmerdale, and he loved me reading bedtime books, and how it used to work. We sometimes wouldn't get home till like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I don't want to miss bedtime. So long story short, I asked Twitter actually, or X, whatever it is now. I asked someone, do they know anybody that could help me with recording some books so that Steph could just play it on her phone and he could hear it. And this was before we knew about like Tony's boxes and all these different sort of accesses for children's books and stuff. And a guy that I'd known for since I was 18. Said, mate, that's literally what I do. What are you doing? So I went, I didn't even think. So deleted the tweet. And he helped me record it. So I went to Manchester and we recorded it. And then he went, he said it, not me. He said, mate, these are absolutely brilliant. Like, we need to think about releasing them. And then again, like what seems to happen with my life, it just snowballs, and it just went so quick that suddenly we had an Instagram page and we had a Spotify, and then we started downloading them now. Like, we're getting sort of 1,500, 2,000 downloads a day.
Wow.
We're in like 120 countries.
on Spotify?
Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
Amazing.
Chrome, everything. Like, we get all these analytics. It's amazing to what, and from what was not a silly idea, but a simple
Well, when
idea.
you said it happened so quick, I remember you putting that post out there saying,
Right.
does anyone know how I can do this, basically. I remember watching
Right.
it. And then I've just had a look through how many you've actually recorded now.
many
Yeah.
How many's on there?
I think we're on our 16th or 9th. But obviously we've probably done about 75.
Okay.
But because I'm in Leeds now and Nigel's in Manchester, we bulk record and then release sort of 1 or 2 a week.
Brilliant.
And it's just some of the weirdest things. Some of the simplest books are like, there's a book by Axel Scheffler called Pip and Posy, and it's 7 pages long, and it's really simple. You think fair play, he's making loads of money off 7 pages. I want a bit of that. But
Well, is that what inspired you to write your own book? Did you write it? Was it last Christmas you wrote it, or the year before?
yeah, well, we kind of wrote like a modern day Lassie type thing, and we just came up with a really simple name because we thought the most simplest books seemed to work well. So we just called him Jim the dog, and each book would be and something, but he's a hero dog that helps other animals and other, like, kind of a little bit of education in there. Like, there's a seal book where he helps sort of get rid of some plastic that's tied around a seal's face and all this stuff, and he works together with other dogs and other animals and stuff, and it's dead simple, but find yourself writing stuff and just going 1, 2, and then just all of a sudden you're in it. And we've written about 6 of them, but then we decided to probably do it too early, if I'm honest, but we decided to self-publish this book, and we spent more than we made, but it was to sort of gain experience and sort of, we didn't really have much of an audience there, so we thought, well, let's sort of park that for now, keep sort of reading these amazing other books that we do, and then hopefully we can sort of almost crowbar our own ideas in there.
So what's the dream with your own books? What would you like to, where would you like it to go, basically?
I think just to be in with a chance with it in the market of just sort of allowing ourselves creatively to write something that is educational, it's fun, it's silly, and kids can just sort of pick it up and put it down. The best books are the eternal books that just don't seem to, there's loads of books that we've done. We've just done an Elmer books, Elmer the Patchwork Elephant, written by David McKee, 35 years old. And people still love it now, and it's still on sale. Going on a Bear Hunt, 25, 35 years old.
Wow, yeah.
The Gruffalo, 20 years old. All these books are written by incredible authors that just know that will last forever, and there's always a meaning behind it. But as a kid, you don't get it until you read it when you're old, and you go, that's brilliant, because, and that's what we like to do.
So can I...
Yes.
So the book that you've written, which is called The Little Dog at Christmas, what's
No,
it
it's
called?
not.
What's it called?
It is better if Matthew asks you questions. I'm just starting to learn this now. Jim the dog.
Jim
And what
the
I said
dog
about it was it's really
helps
simple.
Santa. Jim the dog helps Santa.
No.
What's it called?
Jim the dog and Santa.
Jim the dog and Santa Claus,
Yeah.
right? That's the name, Jim the dog and Santa
And
Claus.
can you get that
Can I
on-
just ask the question now?
Yeah, but I feel
So
like
have you
it's...
recorded that? And can
No,
we listen to
yes.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
See?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we can listen
Yes, you
to
can
that.
listen to it whenever you want.
You can listen to that whenever you
I'd
want.
wait
And-
till Christmas.
And so you're right, you've written all these other books.
Yeah.
Is there any part of you that wants to record these so people can listen to them and kind of ask for them to be published? Because if people are falling in love with your work, they're going to want a physical copy, or are you holding off recording what you've written?
You see, now there you go. That's how you can do it. You can do it because that is a really good idea, and it's an idea that we've toyed with because we go, well, should we do it that way, or are we basically saying here's a story for free? Because the other thing is we do need to generate money for the business to work, because like setups and cameras and mics, they cost money. So we're trying to come up with other ways to monetize the business and create it into a business that eventually, again, we can try and maybe almost create sort of like a HQ or a hub that sort of allows kids to come in and learn without just putting a mindless American TV program in front of them and go, shush while we eat our tea. We want to try and create somewhere where you go, well, come and eat it because it's a safe place. You can go and read books in the library while your mum and dad have. There's loads of ideas that we want to get to, and that's kind of the end goal for me, is to have somewhere where everybody can enjoy the place in one place. Anyway, we need obviously money to do that, so we kind of thought, is it a better way of just sort of putting the book out there, then recording it? But we are kind of coming more around to, let's say, your idea, which is, to record it and people go, this is brilliant, we want to see the pictures.
Yeah.
And that's an option that we're looking at for this year.
I think that'd be good. I think that'd be nice because often, even as an adult, I'll listen to a book, and if I love it, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Just so I've got it.
Yeah,
'Cause
no,
you
yeah.
have it because when you fall in love with it, you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think especially for kids, if they've listened to something and they've loved it, they definitely want to hold it
visual,
and then learn
yeah.
to read it themselves as they get older and stuff like that. You don't have to release all of them. I'm still talking.
Sorry.
You don't have to release all of them. You can just kind of tease us
No,
and let us
yeah.
fall in love with what's his name? Jim.
Jim the dog. Well,
Jim
funnily
the dog.
enough,
He's not Bradley
with
Walsh
you
in the dog.
being our last guest on this season, it's kind of come full circle because we interviewed Jessie Elland about she's writing books.
Yeah, amazing.
And what you just said was exactly what she said. Her mum and dad used to put books and toys in her cart, and she used to throw the toys out and keep the books.
Albert.
And there's something, is that what Albert's like?
Exactly like that, yeah.
And there's something very tactile about a book. Yeah. It's great to listen to stories, and I listen to a lot of stuff when I'm driving or when you can't literally sit down and read. But kids love books, and I think you're right. I think people will listen to it and then go, I want
that.
this book, and I want to have it in my hand and be able to sit and read it.
I like. I mean, it's again. I never came here thinking I'd be
taking business advice off us two, but look at us. Who would have wanted a bit of advice off us?
Well, listen.
No,
so Albert's Bookshelf is not only a podcast.
Yeah.
It's gone into something else now, hasn't it? So you're doing a festival.
Yeah, so we're doing a festival, which is, again, we're the visual stuff and this sort of interactive book readings and dances and stuff that goes with it is where we
Who's doing the dancing, Danny?
Not me.
Yeah.
Not me.
Who's
Not
running
me.
that? No, seriously.
Well,
How's
we've
that
got- we've
work?
got
Who
a-
did
a
you
friend-
find?
We've got a friend of ours called Joanna who's got a lovely class that Albert goes to, which is the Little Yorkshire Dance Academy. She just had her festival actually at the weekend, and it was like a sort of just kind of happened, a collaboration really. So she said, well, you help me out with mine and I'll come and help you out with yours and stuff. So she's going to be sort of running the classes whilst we read the books and stuff. And we learnt loads from it on Sunday. She was just brilliant, but we learnt loads and we should have done different things. But it was the first time we'd ever done something like this. So it was nice to be able to learn on the job. And that's kind of how I've lived my life, really, is learning on the job. Like I say, I never studied with the acting thing. It just kind of fell into it. And Emmerdale was my drama school, if you like. So, yes, she'll be doing that. And then we've got MC Grammar, who... Have you any idea? I'm guessing not. No. MC Grammar is like, he's just become sort of this online sensation that raps books, and he's been on like the Ellen DeGeneres show. So I just messaged him on Instagram and thought, there's no chance. And he went, I'd love to.
Oh,
and I was
wow,
like,
that's amazing.
What? Which, you know, sells a lot of tickets on its own. So he's coming down, and then we've got various different sort of friends that are going to sort of help us out with like meet and greets and stuff like that.
So when is this, and can you still get tickets?
Yeah, 6th and 7th of July. So I'm hoping that if this doesn't go out before it, then it's
This
pretty
will go
pointless.
out before.
Yeah, it will
Okay,
go out
great,
before
great.
it, yeah.
Okay, now I'm locked in. 6th and 7th July in Bolton, you can get them via our Instagram page, or it's at a place called Open Air Bounce, which is in Bolton, Greater Manchester, which is kind of where we see our audience mainly. So you can go there and get your tickets, and they're all reasonably priced and what you actually get with it is amazing. There's loads of stuff going on to help raise some funds for the business. There's raffles and various different talks and live readings on stage and stuff. So there's a bit of everything for everyone. And then there's just this huge inflatable park that's surrounding it, which is obviously an attraction in itself. And then it ends with a big foam party and hopefully a load of,
Happy kids.
So yeah, bring them along.
Amazing. And I think that's a brilliant place to go out.
Yeah.
Danny Miller, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
I didn't realise you were this interesting.
No,
it's
you don't.
so
It's weird because you don't really
nice.
give me this time of day at work. So I'm glad we got to know each other better.
Thank you. I've
for
really
coming
enjoyed
on
it.
Celebrity Side Hustles. And the way that you're going, Danny, we probably could have you on every season.
Perfect.
Because you just keep getting these side hustles and side hustles and side
Yeah,
hustles. So
you're a
Fingers
really
crossed.
good one to end with.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
really thrilled with it.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
Thank
I've
you.
really
Well, thanks for
enjoyed
having
that.
me.
And I
Excellent
feel
interview.
inspired.
Oh, nice.
And do you know what I think's really interesting about so much of what you've done is it's about contribution, which I think is just wonderful. Like the fact that you've learned on the job and done so much, but ultimately a lot of it has just been for other people.
Well, that is the nicest thing you've ever said to me. So
And it's
thanks.
probably the last nice thing I'll ever say to you. There you go.
Right, thank you, Danny.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Rox, I think that was such a brilliant interview.
I didn't even know I liked Danny Miller. I mean, I'm a big fan now.
You're a big fan
Big
now. Yeah, he's just... The work that he's done specifically, like particularly his charity work, is... I didn't know how many million... He'd like raised millions for his charity.
He's worked so tirelessly, but so quietly. Like, he's such a big character. And you know what we're like? We're always shouting about stuff, but I've not heard a peep, And so I've just got so much respect for him, not only for doing the work, but doing it with such humility.
Yeah,
Like,
and
what a
also,
lovely soul.
I love where Albert's bookshelf has come out of as well. It's come out of the fact that he wanted to be there for Albert, for his little boy, to read books for him at night. And sometimes you can't do that because you're still at work. And he wanted to record his own voice so his son's hearing.
Oh, stop it. It's so cute.
So it's so beautiful that's where it came from. And we'll put all the links on the page so you can access Albert's bookshelf
and buy his
and
book.
the charity and the book. Yeah. Can you remember the name of it?
No.
Jim
Sam's
the
dog at Christmas. The little dog helps Santa.
Keep going. The dog's got a name.
Jim the dog with Santa.
No. Jim the dog and Santa Claus. Good night, everybody. Oh, by the way, we've got a bonus ep.
Oh, yeah, we do. It's not as exciting as he made it out to be, but yeah, it's us interviewing
each other. So what we've done, because throughout this podcast, people have asked us how we came up with the concept and have we ever had any side hustles. So we thought we'd do a little bonus ep. Well, I say a little. It's quite a long one.
It's quite a long one. We talk a lot just about ourselves. I mean, it really is an optional episode.
It's an optional extra, but it's very interesting. So, so next week you will be able to see our little bonus ep. Tune in next week. What's that?
Well, I'm waving for those that are watching.
What are them nails?
Oh, go away.
You and